Hi, I'm Rick Rheins, Senior Rabbi at Temple Sinai in Denver, Colorado. This week's Torah portion is Ki Tavo from chapters 26 through 29 of the book of Deuteronomy, and it's filled with so much. It includes the instruction to Joshua and the children of Israel that when they cross over the Jordan River, to place huge stone stela and plaster them and write on them the words of the Torah for all to see. And literally it says be'er hetev, to write them in clear letters so that all will be able to read the Torah. And it, as the rabbis interpreted it, be'er hetev could also mean that it was translated. So even if you didn't speak great Hebrew, that you could still understand the words of the Torah because it's so important. It continues because we want every person to know that they're responsible for their own actions and there are consequences to our actions, because then it goes into a long list of blessings and curses. Blessings if we behave to the highest of our standards, of the highest of ethical and moral standards, and that we're filled with justice and care and tzedakah, care for those who are most vulnerable in our society, and to bring a sense of harmony to our society, then we will enjoy the blessings. But if we're filled with dispute and violence and corruption, and we judge each other harshly, and we're not generous to those who are most vulnerable, we will bring curses to a society, curses to our lives. We will break apart in a sense of communal destruction and even lose our nation. As we read these, there's so many of these thoughts that go through our heads as well of, are we generous in our consideration with one another? Are we kind with one another? Are we judgmental to those who are of a different political persuasion or a different perspective? Are we too harsh with one another? Are we breaking our society down? Well, all of this is a part of this week's Torah portion, and it begins with something that I think sets the tone. In chapter 26, it talks about the Thanksgiving offering. It says, one day when you get to this promised land, this land flowing with milk and honey, you will have your harvest. Bring the first fruits of your harvest to the temple. Now, it doesn't identify that exactly yet as Jerusalem. It refers to it as Hamakom Asher Yivchar Adonai, to that place where God, will choose. Eventually it will become Jerusalem, but the key is that each person will bring that first fruits of their harvest or of the first fruits of their flock or their herd. And this is what they should bring. They should bring it with humility. They should bring it with a sense not of, oh, look how wonderful I am, look how generous I am, and look at what my harvest was, but rather to remember the hardships of the past, remember how fortunate we are, lest we grow haughty in our hearts and look down on others who are not so successful. It says, bring the first fruits and say, Arami Oved Avi. My ancestors were either wandering Arameans or refugees from the Arameans. They were fugitives from the Arameans. It was a humble remembrance that we were persecuted in the previous nations. And it goes on. It says, and God found us as slaves in Egypt. So both from the east in Mesopotamia and from the west in Egypt, our ancestors had the hardest of life. We survived the worst kind of persecutions. And now look, God, we have freedom. We have a harvest. And we present this first harvest as a thanksgiving to you, and we will remember the strangers in our midst, those who also are vulnerable in our midst. So our thanksgiving is one not of arrogance, but of humility. How key that is to the building blocks of a society. Not to look at my achievements as a glorification of me, but rather look at my achievements as an opportunity to raise up the lives of others, to express an appreciation for the fortitude, the dedication, the perseverance of our ancestors, and to bring that appreciation to those around us in our community, those who are struggling. A true thanksgiving, ki tavo, when you come into this land that God is giving to you, bring the highest of our qualities, our highest of our ethical and moral teachings, a Torah that is not just read, but is taught and lived in celebration of God's gifts. Shabbat Shalom.